Good morning. Good morning. Name's Charlie Creel. I'm a senior national channel sales manager. I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been with Burt's CBI Now Fusion 16 years. Again, from the partnership that we've had with TC, we've grown this over the past 10 years to a pretty strong relationship. Right now, as you've heard, Fusion is going through a Chapter 11. The current status is we expect to be out late November, early December. So the good news is, we're moving forward as a company. The company has been established now, right now for, it's not listed on how many years, but I know that the Fusion company now, with merging with Megapath and Birch, is over 16 years of service. And with this delivery, what we're going to be able to do with the new Fusion coming out of Chapter 11 is strong network products. We're still doing aggregated bandwidth. We have a strong SD-WAN offering, which we're going to be talking about, as well as our UCaaS play, which is a very strong play, as well as our SIP play. So as we continue this growth, we'd like you guys to understand is be patient with us. The commissions are still being paid to our partners. None of that has gone by the wayside.
That's a voluntary restructuring.
Yeah, as a voluntary restructuring. So as we move forward, we want to let you guys know everything's in place. I'm still here, been here 16 years, not going anywhere. So as a solid producer, and we continue to move forward. The portfolio that this can lead into what you want to talk about, but as we continue to grow, you see the companies, we have services in Canada, we have services obviously throughout the country. What we want to make sure that the end user as well as the partner knows is we continue to grow from being a next generation SD-WAN provider, broadband aggregator. Something that we still do great with is POTS lines. People forget about it, but we're still an aggregator for POTS. I still sell a lot of POTS lines today. You talk about 4G backup, which we do as well, but the POTS line business is still a big business for us. But the key here is these three companies now as one have still great offerings. Megapath brought in and aggregated a wholesale play for us. Birch has got the POTS business. Fusion has got the UCaaS business. As you see, we continue to grow from a revenue perspective, an industry leader. Again, as we have 20 years of experience based on, I've been here 16 as well as most of the people within the organization, what you see us do is grow as a fully operational aggregated bandwidth provider with communications, connectivity, network security, managed IT. You hear a lot of people talk about, just as Jamesy was talking about it, we can bring it in as well as being a full provider of all these services end to end. You've got voice over IP services, UCaaS, SIP trunks, Ethernet, fiber optics, SD-WAN, and then Office 365, which is an added managed IT perspective that we're throwing in the mix as well. So the experience you get as we continue to grow, some of the bigger partners that I've worked with, when I say partners, some of the bigger customers that I've worked with is United States Marine Corps, Forever 21, which are some enterprise type retail establishments we've done really good business with and have done successful deployments from not only a POTS perspective, but an aggregated bandwidth perspective. Did you want to start talking about the advantage here?
No, you can keep going.
Okay. The advantage here, if you look, the map, it's hard to see, but if you look from an IP-based network perspective, how well, and I always call us a company that's got a network managed avenue of services where we deliver services all over the country, but where we're effective are the NFL football cities today, which is where we've had fiber optic network before in the old CBI network. And that's another company that, over the years that we acquired. Can't really read this that well. I'm going to skip over this as a trusted provider. I don't know if that's something that you want to talk about here. Or?
No, you can keep going.
Okay. Competitive advantage, Fusion advantage, delivered managed cloud solutions from a UCaaS perspective. You want to talk technically?
We can jump into it.
Okay. And now I introduce you to the head sales engineer, Santi.
Thank you. Thanks, Charlie. So I'm going to just go over some of the accolades here, some of the name brands that you may recognize up there that we've been able to close successfully. And we've got some accolades as far as the industry goes. But what I really want to get into right now is the portfolio itself, because that's really what you guys want to hear, right? You want to hear what it is that Fusion offers. So I'm going to go back to this screen for a second here. We got 4 buckets. We can look at the first bucket, communications, connectivity, network, and security. And as you can see, there's a lot of subsets in there. We're not going to be able to cover everything. Our portfolio is pretty vast. But I'm going to try and hit on some of the most core products that we have and get us going there. One thing I want you to understand is that many people who offer cloud services do not own their network. And so we're one of those companies that does. You saw the network map. That's a huge advantage, because if we own the underlying network, we own and can control the quality of service that goes along with their cloud offering. So it's something to think about. Another thing that is unique to us is that we actually have 2 VoIP platforms. And now you may be asking, well, why do you have 2 VoIP platforms? We have FusionWorks Pro, which is our flagship product. This is our code. This is our own proprietary platform. Fusion has had that from the beginning. It's an open source platform. We own the code. And we have BroadSoft. The reason why we have 2 products, or 2 flagship products like this, is because the enterprise space typically will always want to go with a household name, right? BroadSoft. So for those enterprise opportunities, we can go ahead and absolutely play along with all the other BroadSoft providers. But when you start to get into the middle and small tiers, you know what? They're not necessarily interested in the household name. What they want is something that works, something that's stable, and something that can save them money. Well, FusionWorks Pro, which is our flagship product, has a little bit more pricing play. So that's why we have 2 VoIP platforms. In a few weeks, we'll be making some enhancements to that FusionWorks platform, FusionWorks Pro platform, which is our platform. FusionWorks, without the Pro in front of behind it, is the BroadSoft platform. We're going to be making some enhancements next couple weeks, and I will tell you that in the next few weeks, when we make this announcement, there will no longer be a pivot strategy, if you would, between the 2 platforms. It's basically going to be, does the customer prefer to have a household name, or do they want to go with our proven platform? Either way, we'll be able to serve that customer. If they run that VoIP service on our network, we can give them quality of service, because remember, we control the underlying network. If they run that VoIP service over another carrier's network with our SD-WAN product, we could potentially provide that QoS as well. So we'll be talking about that. So let's talk about FusionWorks Pro. This is the one that we own. This is our flagship product. FusionWorks Pro. It is our proprietary platform, okay? Superior voice quality, 99.999% availability. It's highly customizable, especially since we do own that code. Comprehensive reporting, we can actually customize that as well pretty significantly. In fact, if you have a very large opportunity and they need something that's really, truly out of the box, we'll do some significant customization to that if the opportunity warrants that. Simplistic call flow management, and it does have embedded call center functionalities, which you would expect. And with any UC platform, right, you want these features. Well, our FusionWorks platform does provide the UC platforms that you would expect a UC platform to have. Things like instant conferencing, presence, contacts, and by the way, not just internal contacts, but external contacts as well. A soft phone, and much more features that come with the product. I cannot mention FusionWorks Pro, which is, again, the proprietary platform, without talking about Fusion SIP. Now, when I talk about Fusion SIP, I'm referring to a customer that has an on-premise PBX that they cannot get rid of because they still haven't gotten their ROI, or they're very invested in that PBX. So we can bring SIP trunking to that. And the reason why I mention SIP when I talk about FusionWorks Pro is because it's the same platform. The same flagship platform that runs our FusionWorks Pro VoIP seats is the platform that runs SIP. Our SIP offering is compatible with the large majority of IP PBXs. We are compatible with any TDM-based PBX or legacy CPN phone system. We offer business continuity. We have call bursting and pooling. Bursting allows you to burst above the allocated number of call paths, and pooling allows you to pull from other locations if you need so. So depending on what the customer's needs may be, we can customize this solution this way. We do offer, obviously, security and network-based redundancy. But now I want you to think about something. This is something that a lot of folks don't seem to understand. When I say that we have our FusionWorks platform and our SIP offering on the same platform. It's the same platform that powers both offerings. Here's a scenario that is very unique that we can actually take head on. Let's say you have a customer with a large headquarters location. And in that large headquarters location, they have that huge PBX. Maybe it powers their call center. Maybe it powers the phones for their users at that location. But they also have remote locations. Well, because it's the same platform, we can deliver SIP trunks to that on-premise PBX. And we can provide FusionWorks Pro seats at all the remotes. And guess what they get? They get a single platform. They get a single bill, one vendor, and free intra-company calling. It doesn't matter that it's two separate offerings. One is powering their PBX and the other one is powering their users' phones. Since it's the same platform, we can save them money. So something to think about, because what I just described is actually a very common scenario in a lot of companies. So now let's talk about FusionWorks. Now this is the one that most people are familiar with. It's the BroadSoft platform, which we also have. It's an enterprise-grade UC platform. We all are very familiar with it. Okay? It allows us to play in that same space. They get a true UC experience. It provides enhanced video conferencing. And yes, we do offer the third-party integration for CRMs, whether it's Microsoft Outlook or we have a whole list of integration APIs that we can provide. And as expected with any BroadSoft platform, the UC experience is there. Advanced collaboration platform for either desktop, tablet, or mobile. Okay? One application which includes all the features, so they don't have to go to any other application. They get them all in one simple to-use application. It is over the top, or it can be bundled with Access, because we do provide Access and we own that underlying network. Fast install, dedicated project management, and combines IP business telephony with conferencing, instant message presence, and by that I mean rich presence, okay? Screen sharing in all in one application. And here's just a snapshot of the UC features that come with the FusionWorks products. Remember, FusionWorks is our BroadSoft offering. FusionWorks Pro is our flagship offering. We have two. They're both VoIP platforms. It really boils down to what the customer's preference is, okay? Enterprise companies will typically want to go with a BroadSoft solution, so we can do that. Now, I mentioned earlier that if we ran this VoIP service on our network, we can provide that quality of service because we control the network, right? But if they decide to keep their existing network provider and run our VoIP service over that, we can use SD-WAN to provide that QoS. Our SD-WAN solution works across different combination of circuits, dynamically optimizes traffic over multiple links. It gives you full control over policy decisions. You can control what traffic gets prioritized and what does not. It can be deployed in days, not weeks or months. And when I say that, I'm referring to the fact that the network is already there. Obviously, if the network needs to be there first, we can then layer SD-WAN on top of that, and we can do it quickly. It guarantees real-time application performance, provides strong security options, and it has a very, very compelling ROI when you compare it to traditional secured WAN technologies, especially when you're talking about MPLS. Okay? What is it that is driving SD-WAN these days? Well, here it is. These are the facts. Over 40% of enterprises are expected to adopt SD-WAN by the end of this year. I actually posted on LinkedIn recently if anybody had an update on this prediction. This prediction was done last year, and I wanted to know if anybody had an updated outcome, because I'd like to know what that number is. But 40% of enterprises is a big number. WAN optimization and cost reduction are the drivers, another driver. Cloud applications, we all know about this, right? Anything that has to do with digital transformation or cloud-to-cloud connectivity, SaaS, for example, software as a service, that's a big driver for SD-WAN. And it's said that spending on SD-WAN is to grow from $475 million in 2017 to $2.32 billion by 2022. We are smack in the middle of that prediction. So this is a good time to be in the SD-WAN business. Internet breakout is another driver. Security is what's going to see a lot of investment in both cloud and SD-WAN as well. Security is the concern for 72% of the respondents to a Gartner survey that was issued recently. And here comes IoT. How many here know what IoT stands for? Internet of Things. This is your Google Dots, your Alexas, and all these IoT devices that are not connected to your network, okay? Those security issues that come along with all this IoT stuff is another driver for SD-WAN. We are now seeing a pretty significant beginning to a very lucrative trend in the SD-WAN. So if partners are, you guys are not looking at SD-WAN, please, you need to start looking at it. According to Gartner in 2018, the leaders in this space are VMware's VeloCloud and Cisco's Meraki, and we provide both offerings. There's a reason why we provide both offerings, and here's the reason why. VeloCloud is a great SD-WAN solution for the enterprise space, therefore we call it our SD-WAN Enterprise. And as you can see, you have all the check boxes checked, whereas the SD-WAN Pro has some features that are not available. Some of the smaller businesses may want to save some money because they don't necessarily need all of the check boxes you see up here. But something to think about. It all depends on the solution that the customer needs, what their needs are. The key word that you see up here is packet level versus session level, okay? With the SD-WAN Enterprise, which is the VeloCloud, all that monitoring that takes place and all that fixing that takes place and error correction and stuff like that is at the packet level. What that means is you could, and I've done this actually in our lab, you can be on a VoIP call and have one link go down. You may hear a slight blip in the voice, but it's going to go and fail over to the next link, and because it's at the packet level, that voice communication continues seamlessly. Whereas the session level means that the link goes down, that call would be lost while it switches over to the other link. So an SMB could probably deal with that, right? Enterprise ain't going to deal with that, right? They got to have that call continuing no matter what. So that's just a bit of an eye chart, but it kind of gives you an understanding as to why we have two SD-WAN offerings, because we're here to cater to the different customers we have in our markets. And we talked about SaaS, and one of the biggest things in the SaaS arena right now is the Office 365 offering. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Office 365. Let me just give you a little bit of an insight here. It's basically your Office suite. You've all dealt with Office, right? You had PowerPoint, Word, Excel, Outlook. But Microsoft has taken that and they've made it available in the cloud, along with business class emails, online document storage and sharing, working together in real time. By the way, that means that, let's say Ed Coley here, my good friend Ed Coley, we've worked together at companies before. Let's say Ed Coley's on Office 365 and so am I, and we're working on a document. We can actually co-author this document together in real time. That's huge for productivity. Technical support, and there's also a financially backed SLA from Microsoft. So that's what Office 365 is at a high level, okay? But not only do we offer Office 365, we also offer what's called Microsoft 365. And for those of you who are not familiar with that, it's basically taking that Office 365 suite that I just talked about and combining it with the Windows 10 licenses for desktops and laptops. So a lot of companies are saying, oh wait, this is great because I can update all of my operating systems and have the latest features from Office 365. And if that company's big enough and they sign up for the enterprise offering, they also get the Enterprise Mobility Suite, which has a lot of really amazing features for securing these guys. Something that a lot of people tend to forget about. All these mobile devices that we depend on now. So Microsoft has figured that out, and we can offer that as well. So let's look at some case studies here. We're talking about the Y. Everybody knows the YMCA, and no, I am not going to do the dance, but you guys can follow along here. So the challenge was this. Each of the 6 locations had its own legacy on-premise phone system. Sounds familiar, right? Which made it impossible to transfer calls among locations. The other challenge was telecom expenses increased as aging phone systems became more time-consuming and difficult to manage and repair. And then also planning to move its main location to another town, the Y was not able to keep the numbers that they had so widely publicized before. So that's pretty significant challenges. So the solution was We switched them to a cloud-based phone system. We let the nonprofit retain its familiar numbers and streamline the call handling, okay? Fusion-hosted voice provides more features at a significantly lower cost than what they had with their legacy system, okay? And it includes mobility features such as visual voicemail with transcription, which helped the YMCA staff be a lot more productive. So this is just a case study of one of the things that we were able to help with. And in the SD-WAN front, here we have a case study of a no name. I couldn't mention the name, so I got to keep them private. But let's just say it's a high-end men's fashion retailer with 40 locations. Maybe you can Google and figure out who they are. Here's the problem they had to solve. High cost, low bandwidth MPLS. We hear that a lot, right? MPLS used to be the thing, but now we call it high cost, low bandwidth, don't we? Well, that's the problem they had. They needed to add bandwidth to deploy guest Wi-Fi. They needed to improve resiliency and redundancy within their network, and they wanted one vendor for all their locations. And so we came in, and I do have some numbers here for this particular deal. The Fusion cost was $3,000 per month. That's a nice size deal, versus the legacy network cost that they were currently paying, which was $130. So we saved them $100,000 a month, and we gave them more features and more resiliency with the SD-WAN solution. So single vendor for network, SD-WAN, Wi-Fi, and support. And we're basically now an extension of their IT team, as it should be. And so that's another success story that we have there. So wrap up my section here, and I'll hand it off to Michael in a second here. When we say that we are truly a single source, we really are. You saw that portfolio, and again, we couldn't do a deep dive into the entire portfolio, but I did touch on some of the products there. Again, we have 2 VoIP products that we can go to market with. We have 2 SD-WAN offerings that we can go to market with. We have SIP trunking we can go to market with. We have wireless backup we can go to market with. And we have SD-WAN as well as Office 365 and Microsoft 365. So when you really think about it, just about everything a customer needs to be successful and run their business, we can provide. And you can offer this to them now. And all this has been productized, and it is literally ready to go. So that is all I have for you today. I'm going to take some quick questions on the product before Michael comes up and talks about the Spiffs. So any questions on, I know we covered a lot, but any questions so far? All right, that means I did a good job. All right, yes?
On this particular example, was the connectivity to the same carrier or multiple carriers across those locations?
There were multiple carriers.
Legacy carriers.
The legacy carriers. So we were able to come and provide one solution, one bill with our network. Correct. Okay. All right, if there's no further questions, all yours, Mike.
All right, awesome. So sorry, everyone, I had to duck out. I wasn't able to kick this off, but I really appreciate the opportunity working with TCG. They've been a really long-standing, very key partner for us and do a tremendous amount of work with us, and it's a very collaborative partnership, so we really support them very much out there. Santi, I think, did a good job kind of articulating our whole portfolio of products, and really our sweet spot really is those multi-location customers that span different geographies, right? So it's a very good question you had there about the underlying bandwidth, right? So for the most part, we do own some of our own fiber lit buildings, right? But for the most part, we're an aggregator of other people's technologies, as you heard, as well as the underlying network from many other providers. We're one of the largest AT&T resellers in the world, for example. We do a lot of wireless backup as well as wireline services. And so we really sew all that together into a single solution. We're not the best solution if you've got a dentist office with a single Comcast location, right? We're a very large Comcast and Spectrum reseller, but when you've got a network that could be multiple locations down here that spans both of those companies, you want to sew that together into a single invoice with the UCaaS running over the top of that. That's what we're best at, right? That's where the margins are best for us, and we really deliver that single neck to choke or back to pad, if you will. So that's really the key, and we do a lot of retail locations, a lot of quick serve restaurants, and very distributed networks across the U.S. and Canada as well. So really, just to close this out, we've got some fourth quarter spiffs. We pay a 3X on our voice, UCAST, and SIP offering, as well as all of the SD-WAN security and managed Wi-Fi. We didn't really talk all that much about our legacy POTS business. That's a huge business for us, and we pay up to $50 per POTS line. That's a tremendous business that still is not going away. And we offer a lot of flexibility to help customers migrate from legacy voice to either SIP or hosted voice, with very flexible contract terms around that. So it's some very unique things, and you're going to hear a lot more about how we do that. Most customers have to get off of POTS within the next 3 years because AT&T and the Lex will not be supporting the copper anymore. So you'll start hearing messaging around that. We're going to be a real thought leadership company in that space to get people from legacy voice into the new hosted world. So with that, that's all I've got. And I'll be around the rest of the day. Have any questions? Yes. Well, I'll tell you what happened with that. So what we did, I just mentioned that our strategic focus is on multiple location customers, right? So what we did when we purchased Birch, we sold off a number of residential and single location customers to a company called Lingo. And those businesses have transitioned over. We being Fusion, we're paying the commissions to the downstream partners. And TCG is a good example of this. We were paying them on the behalf of Lingo, and then several months ago that flipped, and they have to pay directly to the agents themselves. And so I haven't heard of any issues bubbling up, but I can look into it for you.
Any good news there?
Yeah.